Hi, welcome to Soul Purpose Communication Podcasts. It's Sally here. It's great that you're with me today. I'm going to talk about being quiet, being silenced, and that sounds a bit counterproductive, seeing as I'm actually here speaking. To get to the point where I'm here speaking has meant that I've gone through a long part of my life where I've been silenced and quiet. Today, I'm looking at some of the journey from then until now, from silence to speaking. Because part of this whole process of making the website, making the podcasts and writing is about reclaiming my voice. It's about letting go of the conditioning from before that has pretty strongly said, "How dare you speak?" And the older I get, the more and more important it is for me to say, actually, I dare to speak. Here we go. So I've been listening recently to Brené Brown. She's been releasing a set of podcasts called Unlocking Us. And I love Brené Brown. I like her down-to-earth realness. Everything that she says is grounded in data, and she loves her data and her pieces of data, and she counts how many there are in her research. And I think this gives everything that she does a real connectedness to people and makes, for me, what she says really grounded. And recently she's done a couple of interviews with women authors whose theme has been about becoming unsilenced or finding their voices. And this idea resonates with me. As I said in the introduction, I've been finally getting the website ready and finally brave enough to put all of these things out there. In some of these podcasts I wrote like 12 years ago. My kids were really small. Some of them are more modern. But I've been at this process of trying to speak and be heard for a while. So when I was listening to Brené and I was listening to her interviewees talk about this, so much of it was like, oh, yes, I recognize myself. And I think people will, I'm not only going to say this is only women, I think people will. For a long time there's been a dominant voice, and it's meant that voice has squashed all sorts of other minority voices. So this daring to speak is not only about women. We see it in the lesbian and gay community, we see it in the ethnic communities everywhere. We see it with people with disability. We see it with women. Different parts of the female community as well. Women with children, without, elderly, young, whatever. It's time to hear a different voice other than the white, middle class, male voice, or dominated for so long. So this thing that I'm doing with making these podcasts, I'm not doing it to be a success or to get loads of money or to get approval or to get rewards. The most important reason that I'm doing this is actually for myself. So looking back, what is the first silencing that I can remember? And I have this image of me, I'm probably about 4. and I'm standing on my mum and dad's bed wearing a red swimming costume that had like a white frill around the hips. And I think it was probably bought new. But what I remember really distinctly is not liking that it showed so much of my legs. Being really uncomfortable with this. Maybe it was the first time I'd had a swimming costume on. I don't remember, but something had made me really upset with this swimming costume. My mum's response was, "Don't be silly. It's just a swimsuit and you're going to wear it." And I think that response of "don't be silly" is so common. I remember reading Marshall Rosenberg, I was reading one of his nonviolent communication books, and he was talking about how children's realities are ignored. So a child says, "I'm hungry," and the parent says, "Don't be silly, you've just had dinner." The child says, "I'm tired," and parents say, "Don't be silly, you've just had a nap." This really imprinted on me. So as a parent, with my own children, if they'd had an experience, if they said, "Oh, I am," I remember being really, really wanting to listen to that, because my own experience had been exactly that. Everything I said, "Oh, I'm hungry, I'm tired, I'm thirsty," "Oh, don't be silly, you can't be," my lived experience was totally denied, along with the voice that I used to say it. And pretty quick I learned to shut up. I remember as a kid being at school and really needing to go to the loo, but not saying it. So denying my own bodily needs because I'd actually been taught, well, don't have them. I have a lot of memories around clothes. I have another memory of sitting on the staircase at my nan's house crying because I was wearing a skirt that I didn't like because it was too short. And feeling self-conscious. And my mum had kind of, said, "This is what you're going to wear." And I probably had said, "No, I don't want to." But, that's what it was. I was going to wear it. And I've got a lot of memories of being forced to wear clothes that I didn't like and that I hadn't chosen. I grew up in England in the 70s, and there was this company called Cloth Kids. I actually looked them up on the internet today, and they're still going. And anyway, my mum used to get our clothes from this company, and you got a catalogue that looked like it had been printed in someone's kitchen, and all the pictures were like on a farm. The patterns for the clothes were printed onto the fabric, and you'd cut out the fabric and then sew it together. But I remember getting a lot of clothes that had like floral patterns, frills and bows and ruffs, and kind of weird colours like beige and khaki. A-line skirts. Explains why I look so pissed off in my early teenage photographs, because I'm wearing a lot of this cloth kit stuff. But yeah, when I look back at my childhood, it's littered with lots of these sorts of experiences where I'm not heard. God, I remember my nan, my other nan, Nana Maud, coming to stay. And we were going over to Canterbury for the day out. So Canterbury was like the big city, about half an hour's drive away. It was where we went for our big day out. And my nan, my other nan, had made for my brother a brown and cream dog-tooth coat. Now, my brother Paul was bloody brilliant at speaking because he had a complete meltdown and just refused to wear the coat. Absolutely refused to wear the coat. And just screamed and screamed and screamed and said no until my mum gave up on him wearing it and insisted that I wore it. And I didn't do the screaming meltdown scene. I was pissed off, and I was already like 12 or 13. So the coat would have probably been a bit small because my brother was younger. Anyhow, I was squeezed into this goddamn code. And we went over to Canterbury and we went to the cathedral. There's like a square in front of the cathedral. And pigeons crapped all over the coat. It was such a sign from above. Anyway, I took the coat off and put it in a bag, and it was never worn again. But I have so many of those sorts of memories of clothes, but also the difference between me and my brother, because he just refused to be silenced. And maybe, I don't know, I kind of went into the other extreme and was very amenable. Even with like washing up, we had to wash up, my brother and I. So I would wash and he would dry, or vice versa. And my brother just refused to do it. Just refused, just said no. And I was left either trying to argue with him or end up doing both tasks. And more often than not, I ended up doing both. Already at aged 10, 11, 12, I was pretty silenced to the point where I was ignoring my body needing to go to the loo. I was ignoring that I was tired. And I was also ignoring my intuition. I remember once being maybe about 12 or 13 years old, and it was a school night, it was distinctly a school night, saying to my mum and dad, don't cook dinner, someone's coming and we're going out for dinner. And my mum thought, it was treating me like Mystic Meg or something. And they just like, don't be stupid. Don't be stupid, actually, was the comment. But actually, out of the blue, friends of my parents turned up. Totally unexpected. There was no logical reason they would have been there. And we didn't have a phone, so they didn't ring. They literally just turned up at the door. And we did go out for dinner. But what I remember most was that was totally clairvoyant intuition speaking. But it was ignored. And worse than ignored, it was kind of ridiculed and laughed at. It has taken me a long, long time to reconnect to that part of even feeling my intuition, let alone being able to hear it and hear what it's saying. Looking back, I learned very early to shut up. And it has impacted the rest of my life. I look at crossroad moments of choice. Very often, I've taken the path that has been about doing what other people wanted, not what I wanted. So as I approach 56 this year, in the summer, with my next birthday, it's a lot more about saying no. No, I don't want to do that. No, that doesn't bring me any delight. No. And maybe that's part of the process of at least firstly developing the boundaries for where the no is. And then from there, expanding into where the yes is. At least in saying no, I'm able to be more truthful and more honest and more congruent with who I am. Certainly saying no to other people means I'm pleasing them less. And in saying no to them, I'm saying yes to myself. And I think that's the point. All those years, I was saying yes to others. I was ignoring the connection to myself. And I think that probably if I'm going to be able to show up in my bigness, as I heard on Brené Brown's podcast, I have to do that from a point of yes to myself, yes to who I am, yes to what I have to say, and yes to speaking. So on that barrage of yeses to the world, I'm going to leave you for today. Thanks for being with me. I wonder how you're going to connect to your yes. I'm curious about that. Thanks for being here. Hope to be with you again. This was Sally for Soul Purpose Communications.